I live in a blind town, but we aren't born blind. The moment we are born, tape is placed on our eyelids until we turn 18, and then we get our eyes removed. It's something we're taught to accept, something we grow up with. We promise to never take off the tape unless to change it, but we must never ever open our eyes. We do this for our savior, Hafi. Hafi saved our town long ago by standing against the angel Virgil, who tried to take wine and rum from us. Virgil's plan was to leave us sober and humble, but Hafi, with a strength and resolve that no one could deny, stood his ground. Virgil, in rage, cursed him, blinding him and casting him into hell. Thanks to him, we've always lived in the dark, and we embrace it. We don't need light or sight. Darkness is welcoming. It engulfs you. We've learned to find comfort in ignorance. Why should we see the ugly world, the one where suffering exists? The world is ugly. We've been told this since birth. But darkness is pure. Darkness is safe. And so I live like this, never questioning, never doubting. I was raised in it. It was right. It was good. This was the way things should be. But as I approached my 18th birthday, when the surgery would come, I started to think differently. The tape would come off and my eyes would be removed. I'd be free. I would never see again. I was used to the tape on my eyes, used to the dark, but only because I could take it off. It wasn't a permanent prison, but now I wondered, what if I did take the tape off? Just for a second, just to see. No one would really notice. Would it really be so bad to peek? I couldn't shake the thought. Every moment I felt my hands twitch toward my face, almost instinctively, but I held back. I couldn't give in. I was terrified. I had no idea what the world would look like. What would it feel like to actually see? Was I allowed? Was it safe? And why did it scare me so much? The fear gnawed at me every day. The fear of knowing. And then, the day came. I sat in the sterile waiting room, my heart pounding as I waited for the final step in my life. The surgery would remove my eyes, freeing me from the dark forever. My family sat next to me, comforting me in silence, their hands resting on my shoulders. I could hear their voices, muffled and soft. I had never seen their faces, never known the colors of their eyes or the warmth of their expressions, but I had always felt safe in the dark. But now I couldn't stop thinking about it. This was my chance. No one would stop me. I was so close to the moment when it would all be over. I could feel my hands trembling. I could feel the tape tight over my eyelids, restricting me. And I did it. I couldn't wait any longer. With one swift motion, I peeled the tape off my eyes. Immediately, the light hit me like a hammer. It was blinding, sharp, overwhelming. I felt it burn into my retinas. My heart raced as my breath caught in my throat. I stumbled back, trying to adjust. The light was too much, but my curiosity, my need to understand, overpowered everything else. No! The voice shattered the moment. I whipped my head around, the world spinning as I tried to make sense of what was happening. I saw faces, my family, but their eyes, oh God, their eyes. They were all staring at me, and none of them had tape on their eyelids. None of them were blind. They were all looking at me, and they weren't blind. What? What's going on? I stammered, panic surging through me. Why, why don't you have the tape? Why can I see you? My mother stepped forward, her expression somber, her eyes wide, filled with fear. It wasn't fear. It was something else, something darker. You shouldn't have seen, child, she whispered. Her voice was low, almost sorrowful. I backed up, stumbling in confusion. I tried to make sense of everything. The room, my family, the blinding light, the horrible truth that was sinking in. What do you mean? I was supposed to have the surgery. No. My father's voice broke through, cold and final. You were never meant to see. Not now. Not ever. I blinked, trying to clear the confusion from my mind. My eyes stung from the light, my vision too sharp, too clear. The world, it wasn't anything like I imagined. It wasn't ugly. It wasn't something to fear. It was beautiful. But my family, they were all watching me, their faces twisted with something I couldn't understand. Their eyes were too intense, too knowing. Their gazes were heavy with sorrow. as though they were mourning me. And then I heard it, a faint sound, barely perceptible, a low hum that seemed to come from everywhere. It grew louder like a storm brewing. The walls seemed to close in around me. You should have never opened your eyes, my mother said softly. The world isn't meant for those like us. We live in darkness for a reason. My mind raced. I looked around, trying to find an escape, but there was nowhere to go. The hum grew louder. It was a low, terrible